All right. Woo. Has not been a very good couple of days for the Commonwealth. All right, let's end with this tonight. Alan Jackson gets up and emphasizes the plastic pieces may not have come from Karen Reed's taillight on cross-examination with Mass State Police State Crime Lab Tech Christina Henley. Let me pull that up. I'm going to watch this and watch Jackson do his magic.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hanley.
Good afternoon.
Nice to see you again. We met about a year ago. First things first, you were just talking about some plastic pieces in 7-18.8, correct?
It was 7-18.18.
0.18. I left the one out. 7-18.18.
Olaf, the Russian metalhead, $2. His brains, Brian's, the same thing. Thank you. All right, let's
with
go.
A lot of numbers. I'm going to see if we can cut through that here in a second. Sure. First of all, you indicated that you were doing a comparative analysis in different.
By the way, a lot of talk here about who this gentleman is right here. And I don't know if you can see my pointer. He is a student. He is a student lawyer and has been sitting in, helping, assisting. Here we go.
Sort of different categorical ways using microscopy, using the microspec, using the FTIR. I think you also use the FTIR in that as well.
Yes. And
you indicated that your analysis concluded with those pieces could have come from the same source, from the source in 3-1, the taillight. But you're not conclusively saying they did, correct?
It could have come from. They could have a common origin, or it could have come from another source with the same characteristics.
Right. So in other words, another way to say that, Ms. Hanley, is it may have come from the taillight, may not have.
It's a possibility.
Okay. I also want to ask you real quick about the taillight manufacturer. You were shown an exhibit. I think it's exhibit 200, and I think we have that available. With the court's permission, we don't have to cut the lights. I think the lighting is just fine. This is exhibit, or a photograph of exhibit 200 that you saw just a second ago. Quick question about that. In your inspection of that taillight, it's true, is it not, that is manufactured entirely of plastic or plasticine pieces? There is no glass in that taillight, correct?
I'm going to go back to this now. I'm going back to this. This is a real fucking problem in this case. A real fucking problem in this case. If this taillight exploded, like the Commonwealth is saying, and they're showing here, okay? If this taillight exploded, and we have 72 pieces all over the lawn, and Karen drove home to One Meadows, you have snowfall, the salt and sanders have been out, the plows have been out, she wakes up and goes back to 34 Fairview at approximately 5 o'clock in the morning. Salt and sand on the road, water everywhere, snow everywhere. Why are there no water droplets? Why are there no water droplets on this taillight? Why is there no salt and sand on this taillight? We saw salt and sand all over Karen's SUV, those photos inside the Sallyport video. Look how clean this taillight looks. There should be water droplets inside that taillight if it was smashed by Karen backing up and hitting John O'Keefe. You can't clean evidence and then take photos of it. You don't do that. You can't do that. That would be tampering with evidence. This absolutely makes no fucking sense to me. No fucking sense to me. And if the jury doesn't see this, I don't know. Someone has to be sitting there and going, why isn't there no water spots all over it? Why didn't it look like it was wet? Why didn't it look like there was salt all over it, or dirt or debris? This fucking looks like it literally came out of a factory box and someone took a hammer and smashed it. That's what it looks like. This is a big problem.
I have to check my notes. I don't think I noted any glass.
Okay.
Look how clean that
So in other
is.
words, you didn't note any glass inherent in the manufacture of that taillight. It's basically plastic.
Yeah, I think most of the parts were plastic. I'm not 100% sure if the entire thing was plastic. There may have been other material, but portions were plastic.
But you certainly didn't see any glass inherent in the manufacture process.
I'd have to double check my notes, but I don't think I did.
Okay.
Do you want her to check her notes?
Why don't you? Are your notes in front of you?
Yes.
With the court's permission.
Okay, so I did not make any notation that I noted portions that were glass.
Great. Final point before we get into the actual analysis on any of the glass.
No, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if this taillight exploded, listen to me. If this taillight exploded at the crime scene, like the Commonwealth is saying, Karen Reed's taillight, we know it was removed. She drove around a couple of times within that night. In the morning, there would be salt and debris and water spots all over that taillight. That's what I'm saying. Not that they went out and ordered a new one and smashed it and then presented it as Karen Reed's taillight. That's not what I'm saying. Her original taillight would have salt, debris, and water spots all over it. Inside that compartment, what we just saw. And I don't have a pointer. It would be literally inside of...
This is exhibit or a photograph in pieces. There is no glass.
That part right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Probably not. That big shiny black part that has the two red ends on it, that would have salt and debris all in it. There would be water spots all over that. You can't clean evidence and then take photos of it. You can't do that. All right, let's go back to where
I don't think I did.
Okay.
Do you want her to check her notes?
Why don't you? Are your notes in front of you?
Yes.
With the court's permission.
Okay, so I did not make any notation that I noted portions that were glass.
Great. Final point before we get into the actual analysis on any of the glass. I want to shift gears to just the glass material that you analyzed and that you looked at and you inspected. You saw no blood, no skin, no biological material, no tissue, human tissue or otherwise, on any of those pieces that you inspected, did you?
Upon examination of those items, making observations of those types of material, that's not my area of expertise.
So she's getting walked in here. She's getting walked in here. And the defense, I mean, the Commonwealth has talked to her. They've prepped her. And she's getting walked in by Jackson. And she's trying to distance again as far as she can.
I don't think I noted anything that was maybe consistent with that.
So in other words, even though you're not in the bio material expert section of the lab, you certainly would have noted if there was skin or biological material or obvious blood on glass pieces. You're looking at them in many cases through a stereo microscope, correct?
Yes, I would have made note of observations of anything that I would have noted on the surface.
Yeah. Great, and you did not, because you didn't see anything. You suggested that, right?
I think I just made note. I have to check each item, but I think I did note that there was some dirt debris on some of the items.
But not biological material.
I did not note anything that would be maybe consistent with that.
Great, thank you. I want to talk about the comparisons that you did. And you'll forgive me, I'm a visual learner. So I'd like to talk about it in 4 categories. Okay. Linear categories. Category 1, item 3-2. Category 2, item 3-3. Category 3, item 7-12. Category 4, item 7-14. 3, 2, 3, 3, 7, 12, 7, 14. Can we talk about it in those particulars?
Sure.
Okay. 3-2 was the cup, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm going to use the word cup rather than glass for obvious reasons. You can get confused by that. So when I say...
And this is great, too, that Jackson's giving names to these items now instead of the number that it is in evidence. So you can start to kind of, tell the jury you're getting a feel for these items and the things that he's talking about instead of a number. I love this.
The cup. Do you know what I'm talking about?
item 3-2.
Great. 3-3 are the 5 items that were found on the bumper, claimed to have been found on the bumper by NSA.
Glass shards or whatever the hell it is, yeah.
Yes.
5 items, A, B, C, D, and E, correct?
Correct.
Item 7-12 are 9 items, glass items, that were recovered at 34 Fairview by Trooper Buchanan in an evidence envelope, correct?
So sustained as to who they were recovered from.
Sure. Did you receive the items along with an evidence envelope?
I need to double check if it was an envelope, but I received it packaged.
Okay. And the packaging normally, under normal circumstances, the packaging comes with labels. It gives you reference about where things came from. For instance, when Mr. Lally asked you, were you aware or did you become aware that items were claimed to have been found on the bumper? You didn't actually find those items, but that was the description you were getting, correct?
That was the description of the item in our limb system.
Okay. And going back
SK checking in on the Twitter or X. We just call it X now. Did you announce the poster winner? We did. And the poster winner was Lauren Kinney, Kinney. And they needed to reach out to Meredith. And I'll reach out to her in a day or two and see if the winner came forward. But Lauren Kinney, Kinney. Please get in touch with Meredith O'Neill, Turtle Boy's girlfriend, or you can email me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. But we did announce it. Thank you for checking us out on X. All right, here we go.
to 7-12, that's our third category.
Excuse me.
Was that described as 9 pieces of glass that were found at 34 Fairview by a sergeant by the name of Buchanan? Or do you recall that?
I am not sure who recovered them.
Well, what it said on the evidence envelope, that's what I'm asking.
Excuse me.
I would have to check my photos to see if it says that.
We'll get to that in just a second, but fair enough. 7-12, 9 items, A, B, C, D, E, and if my memory serves, I, K, and L.
I'd have to refer to my notes to.
Can you please?
Yes. So the 9 pieces of glass from 712 were labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, I, K, and L.
Great. And then finally, what was in 714, that's an easy one, 1 piece of glass.
That's correct.
Okay. Ground Mayor approach.
Yes.
I've never seen, I did not take this photo.
Understood.
So I'm not, I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
So I'm asking you to look. I know you haven't seen that photo. Does it look like a cup?
It looks consistent with the cup.
Okay. Take a look at the second photo. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photo?
So I did not take this photo. It appears to be a photo of a container that another analyst took a photo of item 7-12.
And item 7-12, once again, included plastic pieces and 9 glass pieces, correct?
Correct.
You don't think that she's not trying to distance herself from this case? I didn't take that photo. That wasn't me. You don't think that she's trying to distance herself right now, knowing all the shit that went down? These witnesses know.
Do you see the evidence label on the very top of that evidence envelope?
I'm not sure which label you're talking about.
One under the red tape.
Yes.
Does that appear to be a label marker that's done to maintain chain of custody?
So I think that label.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
Sure, can we bring these over to the side?
Sure. Ms. Hanley, you see the chalk that's, or actually what's been marked as Exhibit 205 in evidence on the screen?
Yes.
Is that consistent with what you and I were just talking about at the witness stand?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
If you'll direct your attention to the screen on the right, just because it's a little easier and I think the laser pointer shows up a little better. You see the 4 categories represented in this exhibit?
Yes.
Okay, so 3-2, I'm going to go over it very quickly one more time, just visually. 3-2 on the left is the cup, correct?
Yes.
3-3 represents the 5 pieces of glass of what we call the bumper glass, A, B, C, D, and E, correct?
Yes.
7-12 is the 9 pieces of glass recovered by Trooper Buchanan at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
And finally, 7-14 is the single piece of glass recovered by Trooper Proctor, correct?
Yes.
Taking these one by one, just so everybody see. Taking these one by one, looking at starting with bumper glass, category 2. Piece A did not match the cup, anything in 7-12 or anything in 7-14, correct?
That's correct.
Piece B did not match the cup, did not match anything in 7-12, did not match anything in 7-14, correct?
That's correct.
And moving over to category 3, there were.
So basically what they're saying is, and just to kind of break this down is, if you look, he's talking about the bumper glass that was supposedly found on the back of this bumper. Okay. Who recovered those pieces of items? You have Buchanan, 7-12. If you look at the chart, 7-12, and who recovered glass, also recovered glass, 7-14. All this glass that was recovered by Buchanan and Proctor does not match anything of that bumper glass. That's what he's trying to get here. So it's kind of like match game. So I'm just trying to break it down. I know a couple people were like, I was really confused by this. It's match game. Cup. Okay, they're naming the cup. If you look here, cup, Buchanan, 9 pieces. It does not match anything on that bumper. Glass that was recovered by Proctor, 7-12, does not match anything on that bumper. So if they're saying that John was holding the glass and Karen backed into him and that glass exploded and ended up on the bumper, well, the glass that's in John's hand that they tested doesn't match any of those pieces that are on that bumper. So where did those pieces from the bumper glass come from? Probably a fucking glass that was smashed inside the PD and they sprinkled it on there like crack cocaine, sprinkle some crack on them. Like Dave Chappelle, just sprinkle some crack around. That's what they did. They probably found a glass, smashed it at the PD, sprinkled on there, and they took the photo and, oh, look, there's glass all over the bumper, and John had that glass in his hand. So, all right, let's keep playing. Hopefully I figured that. Did everybody kind of get what I was getting at there? Let me know in the chat. Yes, crack sprinkles. Sprinkle some crack on them. It'll be okay. You've seen the skit. Did everybody understand now? All right. So hopefully that kind of cleared it up. I know it confused me at first, but when I had time to kind of backtrack and look at it, it made a lot more sense to me. All right, let's go back here about 10 seconds and then we'll.
Did not match the cup. Did not match anything in 7-12. Did not match anything in 7-14, correct?
That's correct.
And moving over to category 3, there were some matches in these 9 items, 6 of them, A, B, C, D, F, and K, correct?
Yes.
But what those matched, Ms. Hanley, with a cup, nothing on the bumper, correct?
Correct.
And what didn't match the cup.
What he means is the cup at the scene. So if you look up here on the left, that was the cup that was recovered.
E, I, and L. Is that right?
That's correct.
Moving back to category 2, however, there was one thing, item E, that did match something in this series of categories. Isn't that right?
Not a physical match, but instrumentally there was consistency.
All right. And this is an item, the only piece of
Proctor.
bumper glass, the only piece of bumper glass to match anything else in your analysis. Match what? It was consistent with what?
Item 3-3, piece E, was consistent in physical and instrumental properties with the sample that I took from item 7-14.
Which is the single piece of glass recovered by Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes.
But not a single piece of glass, nothing that you analyzed coming from that bumper matched the cup. Did it? Nothing.
Physical match comparison. There was no physical match comparison to the cup.
That's the problem. That's a big
Done with
problem.
this, Mr. Jackson?
We can
Look at
take
her
this down, Your Honor.
face. She's like, oh shit. Yeah, she knows. I kind of feel like she's been put in a position by the Commonwealth.
Your Honor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ouch.
Now, Ms. Hanley, as far as you were asked some questions on
Now
cross-examination
Lally's going to try to clean this one up, and it's going to fail.
about biological pieces or tissue or things being on the glass, and you referenced that was done in another unit, correct?
Yes, if
Now Lally's shitting. He's nervous. Those are all little nervous ticks. He's fucked. He knows there's no way he's going to be able to back out of this one. He's going to try, but it's not going to work.
if that type of
Look at him. He's
examination was needed, that would be done in a different unit.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that, but next question.
Which unit would that be conducted in?
Objection.
So the objection sustained. You need more, Mr. Lally, before you move on.
Now, as far as the chalk that you were just presented, as far as the 4 photographs that were depicted in there, have you ever seen any of those 4 photographs before?
No.
Do you know specifically who or where any of the items?
The photographs don't matter, sir. The photographs don't matter, sir. It's the physical evidence that matters. He's going to try to go to the photographs. Have you ever seen those photographs before? Did you know who took those photographs? Doesn't matter. The physical evidence matters, sir.
3-2, 3-2, 3-3, 7-12, or 7-4 were physically recovered from?
I just have the description.
No, she don't know where they were physically recovered from, but the 2 investigators in this case certainly know where they were recovered from, or so they say where they were recovered from. That's the evidence, not the photos, the evidence.
That's put in the limb system when it's submitted to the lab.
And do you know that 3-2, the drinking glass, was recovered by the Canton Police Department on January 29, 2022?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know that item 3-3, the bumper glass, was recovered by Ms. Maureen Hartnett from your lab on February 1st, 2022?
Sustained.
She's scared.
Do you know that each of the 4 items were recovered by different people on different dates at different locations?
Scared.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Hanley, from your conclusions that you testified about before, you found that the item 3-2, the drinking glass, was consistent with 6 different pieces from item 7-12 that were found in the roadway outside of 34 Fairview Road, correct?
That's correct.
And you also found that piece E from item 3-3, the bumper glass, was consistent with the single piece from item 7-14 that was found in the roadway outside of 34 Fairview Road. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you also found that items from 7-18.18, the debris from Mr. O'Keefe's clothing, were consistent with the item 3-1, the taillight housing, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained is to 4.
Now, as far as the chalk that you were presented with on cross-examination, was there anything in there about
Scared.
item 7-18.18 or item 3-1, either the taillight housing or the debris from Mr. O'Keefe's clothing?
No, there was not.
Nothing further.
Anything?
Very briefly. So in sum,
She
a
doesn't want
single
any
piece
part of
glass
this.
on that bumper could be connected to that cup, correct?
There was no physical match to the pieces that I compared for physical match from the bumper. There was no physical match to the glass cup 3-2.
Thank you. So another way of saying that is not a single piece of glass that you analyzed on that bumper matched that cup, correct?
Sustained.
Oh, and she was going to say correct. She was going to say correct. Jackson asked her again. So what you're saying is that none of the physical pieces that are on that bumper matched the cup, meaning the cup that was found at the scene at 34 Fairview matched the back of that bumper. And she was going to say correct. And there was an objection. And it should have been let in, but the jury saw it. And she knew she fucked up because you can look at her, muffle her mouth. I'm going to go back. Watch closely.
Correct.
There was no physical match to the pieces that I compared for physical match from the bumper. There was no physical match to the glass cup 3-2.
Thank you. So another way of saying that is not a single piece of glass that you analyzed on that bumper match.
Sustained.
Oops. She
But
knows she
the
fucked
one
up.
piece of glass that did match something came from the same source. It was consistent with coming from the same source as the single piece of glass recovered on the possession of or bagged by Trooper Michael Proctor. Correct?
It was consistent with item 7-14.
That's all.
All
That's
right,
it.
Ms. Hanley, you are all set.
That's it. Bang. There it is.